Good morning. Good morning, you guys. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Oh, God. Let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. Let me know who's here and where you are tuning in from. Good morning, Cherie. All right, Kim from Delaware. First of all, let me say this. This is not a prophetic drive-by I wanted to do. I really was trying not to do anything, and I'm late. God told me to do it at 4:44, and I didn't. He told me to do it at 5:55, and I said okay, but I'm late. Um, man. So, amen, Kim. Um, and I may break up. Y'all listen, let me just say this. First of all, I'm in the country. I'm in the country. And I've got to upgrade Wi-Fi. I've got to figure something out with the Wi-Fi. But if you'll bear with me through the breaking up, I promise you, there's something that God wants and needs to say. Hold on, let me share. You guys share this broadcast. I tell you what. Listen, so definitely not lost. Definitely not lost. I'm not even gonna declare that one. Um Listen, God has really been dealing with me about freedom and bondage, right? There are two choices: free and bound. That's it. Those are the only two choices. There is no in between. I'm kind of free. No, there are two choices: free or bound. And I'm reminded of the fact that I come from Russellville. So everybody, celebrates Juneteenth, right? Everybody celebrates Juneteenth. Juneteenth is June 19th, when the slaves were set free, when they were emancipated. Everybody celebrates Juneteenth. And the reality is that in Kentucky, where I was born, we celebrate August 8th. Why? We didn't find out till then. We didn't know we were free until then. And for many people throughout the South, even after they found out they were free, they stayed in the place of their bondage because it was comfortable and it was familiar and they didn't know where else to go. I don't know why God chose me to deal with this ancestry stuff. I don't know why, you know. I do know that in my healing class, I talk about, you have to go back. You got to deal with those issues with your parents. You got to face that stuff. You got to, you've got to have those difficult conversations. I talk about all that, and I've done that. But the depth of it, the depth of it is real. Now, and I want y'all to hear my heart, right? Because people don't understand. I'm probably one of the most introspective people you'll ever meet. I'm always looking at me and evaluating me, looking at my part, taking accountability. I'm going to do that. If I did something, I'm going to say, yeah, I did that. Like, that's me. I don't feel the need to lie about something I did. I may not give you details because it ain't your business, but I don't have a need to lie, right? And I've been really big on being honest with my kids, honest about bad choices, honest about things I've done, just being honest with them. I remember my ex had told my son, well, your mama cheated, your mama cheated, your mama cheated. And my son came back and asked me about it. He said, Mama, did you cheat on Daddy? Daddy said you cheated on him. I said, which time? The first marriage or the second time? Because I absolutely did both times. And let me tell you what I want you to take from this. And I began to talk to him about the importance of choosing a mate and really understanding what you need so that you don't have to find yourself in a place where you're cheating. And I'm not saying that it was my ex's fault that I cheated. I'm not saying that at all. I chose to cheat because I promise you I had outs. I had outs. I had multiple outs. And I chose to cheat. It was a conscious decision. I didn't accidentally do it. I didn't slip up on it. It was conscious and it was deliberate. And it was wrong. I was wrong for cheating, but I did it. You understand what I'm saying? See, this is the problem. We don't want to assume no responsibility for the ish that we do. None. We want to have zero accountability and then we want to be a victim. We can't do that. It's not fair, right? Now, in the midst of my cheating, if a child had been conceived, I would have had a situation. Okay. It's a situation that people encounter, like it happens. Okay. It's real. It's facts. And the thing about it is, we have to decide whether listen, this is how I feel. And this is just me. Now, other people can feel differently. Okay. But I feel like throughout the Bible, you see examples of people being caught up in situations. They did something. They thought it was a good idea. It felt good. It was what they wanted to do. But there always came a time. Good morning, Daddy. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Daddy. Love you too, Daddy. This man. I love my daddy, y'all. But there always came a point where they had to decide which side they were going to be on. And I'm going to tell y'all something. In Black families, we do some messed up stuff. Not just in Black families, but I'm talking particularly Black families. Because let me tell you why I say that. We make excuses for why things are. Now, let me say this. I'm not personalizing this. I am not throwing shade. I'm not sending subliminals because I promise you, I am the one who will pick up the phone and call to say whatever I need to say. I don't have to send no subliminals. I don't have to put no subliminal post up. I don't have to do anything. Like if I have a problem, I'm going to call you. I promise you, I will call you. Okay. You ain't gonna have to guess. I will call you. And what I'm saying because God is holding us accountable for not only our freedom, but the freedom of others. See, I am a freedom fighter. That means I fight for freedom. Listen, right is right, wrong is wrong. It is what it is, period, point blank. And we've got to begin to understand our role in our own bondage. You can't say I'm in bondage, but you add into your bondage. You can't do that. You can't say I'm in bondage, but you won't do what's necessary to be free because you're in bondage by choice, not by force. Thank you, Poppy.
You're welcome, sweetie.
You can't. And if you do, you're lying to yourself, and you're lying to yourself to make yourself feel good and feel like a victim. You are not a victim. You are not a victim. You can choose freedom. Now, there are some things that are outside of your control, but there are things that are in your control. Choose freedom. I choose freedom, and I don't care who gets mad and who don't like it. I'm not holding on to family secrets. Bump your family secrets. Listen, if you didn't want it told, you shouldn't have done it. Listen, we got all of these generations in bondage, and we're watching them repeat the same freaking cycles, and we're wondering why everybody's in bondage, because we won't be honest. We won't be real. We won't tell the truth. Every time God requires me to tell the truth, I have family who gets mad at me. They get mad at me. Like, you shouldn't have said that. Well, why did you say that? Listen, our freedom is in our honesty. And I'm not talking about airing other people's stuff. I'm talking about airing my stuff, mine, the stuff that I've gone through, the stuff that I've done, the things that I see. But it's because I choose freedom. Always have chosen. I can remember, I can remember being ordained in ministry. I can remember having major challenges in my marriage. And I remember crying out to people and talking to people and trying to get help and trying to get guidance and stuff. And like, I felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like I was dying. And I remember I had an affair, and God made me confess. God did. I'm not talking about nobody made me do nothing, or my ex found out. No, I'm talking about God told me, oh, you're gonna took me on a whole journey in the scriptures, only to get me to the point where I had to confess publicly. I had to confess publicly. You understand what I'm saying? Which meant that I had to tell my kids what I had done. I had to sit them down and tell them that I had had an affair, that I had cheated, right? And I remember getting ready to stand in front of the church. And, I had talked to my pastor. I told my pastor, and it was Communion Sunday, right? It was Communion Sunday. And I could not take communion without making the confession. And so, I was up there, and my now ex came up with me. I didn't ask him to, but he did. It says something about who he is. And I won't take anything away from him. He stood beside me in that situation. He absolutely did. So I'm standing up there, and I decide I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm not, right? So, and I want y'all to stay with me, because there's a reason I'm telling y'all this. Because listen, y'all, we got to understand that this is serious, right? This is not a game. It's not a joke. It's not for play. Like, what's going on is not accidental. God uses everything to bring people to a place of freedom, right? So I stood up there and I said, I'm not going to cry, because I don't want them to forgive me for out of pity. I don't want them to forgive me because they feel sorry for me. I don't want them to forgive me because I'm gangster. I'm G. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to shed a tear, right? I'm Mary J. Blige. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to shed a tear. No, I'm not going to cry. No, not today, because you're not worth my, like, I'm not shedding no tears, right? And I remember I said, forgive me. For I have sinned. I went straight Catholic. Forgive me, for I have sinned. God said, name it. And I'm like, why I gotta name it? Because it is naming your sin, in facing your sin, that you get freedom. That you get freedom. You want to know why you still in bondage? Because you won't name your sin what it is. You won't name it. And it doesn't matter what my husband was doing during that time. It doesn't matter what we were going through in our marriage. None of that matters. What matters is the fact that I consciously, actively, and willingly chose to commit adultery. And I own it. So I had to own it in front of the congregation. I'd been ordained maybe, and my pastor didn't ordain women, right? I was the first woman he ordained. And I do this mess, right? Um, but I stood up there and I faced it. Listen, that's that's why when people lie on me, I be like, you ain't gotta lie. I do enough stuff on my own that you don't have to lie. So I named it. And when I named it, something inside of me broke. See, God knew that it was in the naming of it that I would break and I would experience a level of humility that I was not operating in. Oh, because why? Because I got it. I'm proud. I'm prideful. I'm not going to cry. He said, no, you're going to cry today. Today, you're going to cry. And it was necessary. I said, God, now I know I ain't the only person in this church that doesn't have no affair. I know it. He said, you're not, but you're the example. You're the example. And I want you to remember that you are the example. So when I say, I don't know why I'm going through this, what I'm going through, I do know, because God said, I will make you an example, and you will be the one who will be the voice. You will be the one that shows people how to go through things, not just on the other side, because a lot of people will tell you about what they went through on the other side after they're in the pretty place. No, he said, you'll show them as you go through. You'll show them and you'll tell them. And they'll be able to see you go through it so that when they go through it, they'll know how to go through it. I, by no means, am perfect, nor have I ever been perfect. But I serve a perfect God who holds me accountable. And in holding me accountable, he makes me talk about stuff that people don't want talked about. He makes me face the stuff that people don't want to face and don't want to deal with. You see, all I can do is be me and be obedient to my daddy. That's it. Yes, Cherie. God will have you expose your own self. So, this is the thing. In our families, we have generations of secrets. The secrets started during slavery. You understand? See, the true bondage that comes from slavery is not that we were slaves, it's that we continue to be slaves because we do not tell the truth. So, everybody would know that that was the master's baby, but you couldn't say that it was the master's baby. You understand? And began the lie about who the daddy is. That began the lie. The lie began there. You see, there are things that have been birthed out of slavery and out of bondage that we don't even think about, let alone recognize. These cycles are cycles that come from slavery. These are the vestiges of slavery. These are the ways that slavery has impacted us, right? So we continue to go through things. The emasculation of Black men came out of slavery, right? All of this came out of slavery. Slavery did this. Men going around dropping babies, just being bucks, producing, siring, because all of these things happened during slavery. Now, some people would say, well, it happened in slavery. Well, now it's over. Yeah, but you got to actively do some things to change that, because there's some stuff that's in our DNA that keeps showing up over and over and over and over and over again. And we don't even understand why we're doing it. We don't understand where it comes from. We don't understand. Cherie said, yes, multiple things have been ingrained through slavery. I always say that. I'm telling y'all, this is factual, right? There's some things that reside in our DNA that we have to be aware of so that we can break it. Let me tell you how strong DNA is. I promise y'all, DNA is strong. Genetics is strong, right? So last night, I went in Daddy and Mama's room, and Daddy was asleep, and I laid across the bed and I kissed his bald head, and he didn't wake up. And then I took a picture and I was getting ready to post it on Facebook, and a reel came up, the reel about me and about my niece and my brother. And he woke up and started laughing, and I was doing something, and he said, wow, that's the only way I can go to sleep, because I was rubbing my feet together. I don't know where that came. Well, I do know where it came from. It came from my daddy that I was never around. I never saw him rub his feet. But there's so many things that I do that he does. Like, it is in me. Y'all, this didn't just happen. So when I talk about the importance of knowing your father and your mother, because it helps you understand you, the importance of being honest about this stuff, the importance of letting people know, even if there's a possibility, you understand? But we don't, because we want to protect our image. Now, we can say we protecting other people, but we protecting us. Can we be real? Because people will be hurt no matter what. So what does this have to do with the prophetic drive-by? God is requiring honesty. He's requiring us to honestly face the things that we've done in the past, the things that we've said in the past, the things that we thought were hidden. He's requiring us to face that stuff, to face it and deal with it. He's requiring us to repair our wrongs. He's requiring us to face the things that we've done that have damaged other people. He's requiring it. Yes, sis. Yolanda said the statement, the truth will set you free, is real. When things are exposed, your mind and soul gets a chance to heal. That's where the healing is, in the truth. The healing is in the truth. But do you know what has happened? We have been trained to lie. We've been trained to keep secrets. We've been trained to do that because we told the truth and we were punished for it. We told the truth and we were judged for it. We told the truth and we weren't believed. So we learned to lie just to make other people feel good. And let me tell you, I gotta say this. I gotta say this. I've been talking to people who said they've been so blessed by me sharing my journey with my father, because they could relate to it. Y'all, people think ancestry DNA is the devil, but really it's a liberator. Did y'all hear what I said? People think ancestry DNA is the devil, but it's a liberator. The only people who think it's the devil are the people who are afraid of what's going to come up in it. You understand what I'm telling you? All of the people don't want their world shook up. People don't want to have to face facts and truth, because so many lies have been told for so many generations. I was looking at our family tree. And in looking at our family tree, I discovered some relationships that I know we didn't know about. I know we didn't know we were connected. I know that, like, I'm telling you, I know we didn't know. And some people don't want to know. They don't want to know. The running joke with me and my ex was that we were cousins, like, because we looked so much alike, and he looked so much like my cousin, and I looked like one of his cousins, right? So that was our running joke, and we said, well, it's too late now. The kids came out okay, right? But there is something that God is doing in this season that is unearthing the lies. God is unearthing the lies. So this is what I'm going to tell y'all. This is what I'm going to tell y'all, and I want y'all to hear me and hear me clearly. The Lord is unearthing lies. So if you've told lies, you need to expose your own lies, or God will expose them publicly. If you've told lies, if you've told lies of omission or commission. Omission is you just left it out. Commission is you intended to do it. Okay? Either way, if you told lies of omission or commission, you need to go deal with that stuff, because it's going to come out. Hear me when I tell you, this is a prophetic warning. God is revealing the sins of the past in the present. He's uncovering it. So just be prepared. Be prepared to face whatever you got to face. Be prepared to address whatever you got to address. Be prepared to deal with whatever you got to deal with. Period. That's it. Be prepared. God is giving us warning, much in the way that he sent the prophet Nathan to warn David. Hey, David, you got to get this together, bruh. David had sinned. He had sinned. He had taken another man's wife, got her pregnant, then tried to get the man to sleep with her so that they could say the baby was the man's. Y'all, do y'all hear what I'm telling you? Ain't that what we talking about right now? Listen, this stuff ain't new. It's not new. It happened in biblical times. But those things have to be exposed. Why? God is a God of freedom. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, not bondage. So we've got all of these things that are left hanging. All these things that we've not addressed. And we have to address them. Starting with us. It starts with us. When you can get to the point where you can be honest about you, about where you are, about why you are the way you are. You see, I'm real clear about why I am the way I am with my daddy now. And that's because I lost my daddy and we had a good relationship. Now hear me, don't get me wrong. We had a good relationship, but we didn't talk every day. We didn't. I didn't call every day. He didn't call every day. We talked when we talked, right? And he would always say, well, I know you busy. I know you got a lot going on. But the fact of the matter is that I could have done better. I could have. So now that I can do better, I'm going to do better. The fact that he's gone makes me very conscious of who's present. So my daddy that I have here now, oh, he's going to get all that love. I'm going to talk to him every day. You hear me? Every day. I'm in a position now that I can do some things that I couldn't do with my other daddy. I'm going to do them. That meant moving to North Carolina. I did it. And God prepared the way. Everything was set for it. Y'all hear me? You can't keep playing with God. You can't keep playing with people. I look at my family tree on the Stewarts and the Wiggins side and on the Duncan side. And I understand why I battle with the stuff that I battle with. Why I have the things in my life that I have in my life. I understand. And I know how to deal with it, how to attack it, where to go, right? It's explainable. And because I can now understand it, I can deal with it differently. I'm thinking something just wrong with me. Now, this ish didn't come from me. I'm dealing with stuff that wasn't even my stuff. I'm dealing with stuff that is passed down through generations. So this is what you got to decide. Either you're going to just keep saying, oh, well, that's generational. Oh, well, that's generational. Or you're going to be the one that stops it. That's why I love my brothers. My brothers have made some very conscious decisions. And I'm talking about my brothers on the Wiggins side. They've made some very conscious decisions that they would stop some things. They would stop them. That they would stop with them. That they would stop it here. And that's huge. That's huge. That's huge. When you make a decision to stop something that is a pattern that has existed in a family for generations, then you then set the next generation free. You may feel like it doesn't matter. You may feel like it won't do anything, but you can set the next generation free. And I want to say this. I want to stand in the gap for every woman who didn't know who the daddy was or wasn't sure, who lied about who the daddy was, who created a situation that affected not just that child, but that father's ability to be in that child's life. And I want to say to the men, please forgive me. Please forgive me for not letting you know that there was a possibility. Please forgive me for lying about who my child's daddy was. Please forgive me for not giving you the opportunity to be a father. Please forgive me. I was young. I was scared. I was confused. I was terrified. I was angry. I was frustrated. I didn't know the level of impact that it would have on you or my child. Please forgive me. I can't go back and fix it, but what I can do is ask for your forgiveness and do better. Now, whether you guys receive that or not, any man that has found themselves in that situation, if you receive that, that's going to set you free. That's going to set you free. To any child, that's child, or adult child, who has been in a situation where they don't know who their father is, where their mother has not been honest about who the father was. The mother didn't know who the father was. I want to stand in the gap. I want to stand in the gap. Y'all, I'm talking to me too, okay? Please forgive me for denying you the opportunity to get to know your father, no matter who he was or how he was. Please forgive me for not letting you know the other side of you, for not giving you the chance to know your grandparents, your siblings, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. Please forgive me for not being able to face my decisions and my choices. There's no excuse that can cover it. But I want you to know that I recognize and I assume responsibility for my part in this. But I ask that you would forgive me so that you can be free and I can be free. Will you forgive me? God is looking for some people who won't just face things, but will stand in the gap. That will stand in the gap for the people who can't occupy that space or can't do that or are unwilling to do that for whatever reason. God wants you to be free. God wants you to be free, but it's your choice whether or not you receive. Oh, you can hold on to everything you want to hold on to and be in bondage, or you can release it and be free. Today, I consciously and actively choose to release it. So let me respond to me. Mama, I forgive you. I understand that you were young and there was a lot going on around you and in your life. I understand that you didn't know how to navigate and you didn't know, or whatever the situation or the case may have been. I forgive you. And I want you to know that you deserve to be free. You didn't have to carry this long. You didn't have to go through this like this. But now you can let it go and you can be at peace. I'm okay. I'm all right. It worked out for my good. I was able to be my other daddy's only biological child, right? Until he passed, until he transitioned. And now I'm able to be my daddy now's first child, the child of his youth. Both of them needed me, but they needed me at different times. And so I thank you. I thank you for allowing God to use you, because that's what it was. God used you. He used the situation. He used what looked like a mess to accomplish his purpose, because he knew. He knew the end from the beginning. And so I release you of that. You don't have to carry that anymore. It's done. Who do you need to go to? Go to them. Who do you need to talk to? Talk to them. Have the difficult conversations. Say what needs to be said so it's not bottled up, building up. And like a soda, when it's shaking up, shaking up, shaking up under pressure, you open it and it just explodes. And it gets on all of these people that have nothing to do with it. God desires your honesty. God desires your freedom. And your freedom is in the truth. And that's why the word of God says the truth shall make you free. Period. But it's up to you to accept it. Now listen, y'all heard what I was talking about, but I feel compelled to give you all the opportunity to get an individual prophetic word. I don't do it a lot, but when I do it, God speaks. I just need you to know that God is going to speak, and he's going to speak to whatever's going on in your life. So if you don't want him to speak to whatever's going on in your life, do not put a one in the comments. Do not put a one in the comments if that's not what you want. But if you're open to receiving what God has for you, put a one in the comments and I'll give you whatever it is that God gives me to give you. Jessica, you've got a lot of questions that you've never asked. And in order to get the answers that you need, you're going to have to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask them. Go ask the questions. Just ask them and let God direct your path so that you can get the answers that you need. And you'll discover a level of freedom that you've not experienced before. All right, Mardan. There's some things that you're going to understand better about yourself when you go back and look at your family. There's some generational things that when you go back, it's going to explain some things to you. Don't be afraid to go back and look, okay? Look, ask some questions about your history, ask some questions about your grandparents. And if your grandparents are still alive, talk to them. Talk to them about their experiences. Talk to them about their parents, because what you'll discover is how you were raised will make sense. That's what I'm going to say. How you were raised will make sense when you do that. Cherie, at some point, you're going to have to forgive your mother. At some point. At some point, you're going to have to forgive her. Now, you can continue to hold on to it if you want to, but you'll never be free until you forgive her. Okay. Now, I'm not sure if your mom is living or not, but if she's living, you need to have a conversation with her. If she's not, you need to write her a letter and you need to articulate the things that you feel and that you felt so that you can be free. Right now, you're in bondage and you're wondering why there's some areas of your life that won't break free. Well, it's because you're holding on to some stuff about your mother and your relationship with her. You got to deal with that. You got to address it, because that's the only way you're going to be able to really experience the fullness of what God has for you. Kim, you have a rich heritage. And I'm not sure if you're aware how rich it is, but you need to go back and look, because you'll understand the wealth assignment on your life. You'll understand the wealth assignment on your life. Ask some questions, go back, You might want to go through ancestry and build a tree, but I'm telling you, you've got wealth that has run through your family, and that is the mandate on your family. You have a wealth anointing because there's a wealth mandate on your family. If you go back and look, then you'll understand why you have the push and the drive that you have. And let me tell you why that's important. Not just so that you can know it, but so that you can move in it with greater assurance. One of the things that my daddy always tells me is um, prosperity is your birthright. He says prosperity is your birthright. When I look at the amount of property that my daddy has owned, that my grandfather owned, my grandfather was a millionaire. Listen, I'm telling you, that's why some of this stuff is in me so deeply, right? Now, check this out. It looks crazy to people that don't get it, but I knew it was in me, right? I knew like I'm supposed to do this, okay? And when you understand where it comes from and that it's not a myth, it's not something you imagine. You know, my great grandfather owned a store. So entrepreneurship, ownership, all of this stuff is in me. Owning land, it's in me. All of this stuff is in me. And Kim, there are some things that are in you that has come through the generations, and you need to go back and find it so that you can get the courage, the inspiration, the resilience that you need to push through, plow through, and produce what's your birthright. My daddy always tells me, oh, it's your birthright. This is your birthright. That's your birthright. It's your birthright. See, there's some things that I haven't been able to tap into because I didn't really get that it was my birthright because I wasn't seeing it on that level. But it's my birthright. My faith, it's my birthright. My daddy is a faith walker. It's my birthright. This is something that is in me. And as the firstborn, I got a greater portion of it. That doesn't mean that none of my siblings got it because they definitely all have it. But I was the first. So the first push of it came into me. And I was displaced and disconnected from where it came from. So do some research and watch what God shows you. If you're just joining us, if you want an individual prophetic word, put a 1 in the comments and I'll give you what God gives me for you. Jackie. I hear God saying, don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. You got to keep going. And there's some things that God has told you to do. Do them. Do them, and they're going to produce. They're going to yield. It's like casting a net on the other side. Peter, when he was out on the boat, they'd been out all night fishing and they hadn't caught anything, and they came into the shore and Jesus was there. And this is after his death, but he was there. He told them, he said, go back out, cast your net on the other side. And Peter's like, I've been out there. We didn't catch nothing. He said, go back and cast your net on the other side. Jackie, cast your net on the other side and watch what God does. Don't be afraid to cast your net. God's got you. Deanna, forgiveness is going to be the key for your breakthrough. Forgiveness is going to be the key. So what had happened was, you had some disappointments early in life and they began to set up root. And so you began to expect people to disappoint you. You began to expect people to do you wrong. You began to expect it. And not only did you begin to expect it, you resented them for it. You expected them and resented them all at the same time. And so there was no forgiveness. There was recognition, but no forgiveness. You just expect it to happen. And you're like, oh, well, that's what happens. But there's no forgiveness there. So what you got to do is you got to forgive. Your key to your freedom is going to be in your forgiveness. And it's going to unlock a lot of things. I see 3 particular things that God is going to unlock for you as you forgive those people who have done you wrong. Listen to me, starting with your parents. As you forgive, those imperfections, those flaws, those things they didn't do, those things that they did do, watch what happens. It's going to be like a snowball. a snowball that's rolling down a snow-covered mountain, right? So we often think of avalanches as a bad thing, but I'm telling you, there's an avalanche of blessings that God has for you as you forgive. Baby, they're going to overtake you. They're going to overtake you. Marquenta, this is your season. This is your season. This is your season for everything that God has promised you. And the key, the key. The key is you forgiving you. See, your problem is not forgiving other people. You'll forgive other people in a minute, like, oh, you're going to forgive them. But who you haven't forgiven is you. Forgive you and get free. And let God do everything he's promised you, because you deserve it. You deserve it. It is definitely your birthright. Amen, Deanna. Hey, Sheila, how are you, gorgeous? I appreciate that. She said, blessing and happiness to you and your father. Thank you, Conway, Arkansas. Thank you. Let me know if you want a word, Sheila. Let me know. Just drop the one. If you're just joining us, if you put a one in the comments, I'll give you an individual word as the Lord gives it to me for you. I can't tell you what it is, and don't get mad at me. Take it up with God. All I can say is what I see and hear and sense. That's it. All right, gorgeous. There's restoration that God desires to do in your life, but he can't do it with your heart condition. And I'm not talking about clogged arteries or, anything like that. I'm talking about the anger that you have hidden in your heart. And it's not that you just always let it out visibly, but it's still there in your heart. It's hidden in your heart. And it's anger directed at several people and situations and things. And even anger at God. People say you can't be angry at God, but yes, you can. You can. And he understands it and he gets it. But you have to deal with that, because your heart condition is affecting your relationships and what you're getting in relationships. So what you're going to have to do is deal with your heart, deal with that anger, admit you're angry. There's nothing wrong with admitting that you're angry. People say you can't say no, it's okay to be angry. I tell y'all, sometimes I'll be pissed off. Okay. So acknowledge it, address it, and release it so that God can do what he wants to do in your relationships. All right. If there's no more, this is what I'm going to say. God desires your freedom, and your freedom is attached to truth. Your freedom is attached to forgiveness. And it is in all of that that you're able to get your healing and be made whole. Some of you have been healed in certain areas, but you're not whole. And it's time for you to be made whole. I didn't understand just how much I needed to be made whole until I got to my daddy. And I feel whole. Like I don't feel like I'm missing anything or I'm lacking anything. And I didn't understand. I didn't understand why I wasn't figuring out what the missing piece was. So it had me stuck in a place that even though I've been working on my healing, right, I was not yet whole. And this is when I knew I was whole, when I didn't feel like I had to have a man, I didn't feel like I had to have a man. Doesn't mean I don't want one, but I don't just want one. I want the one that God has prepared specifically for me. And what I'm sorry, y'all, what I'm discovering is that the weight is a little easier now. So get whole so that you can get what God wants you to have and not just what you want. not just what, you're going to settle for, because you don't have to settle. Listen, you guys, my son is calling me. Let me check on him. Look, know that I love you guys to life and life more abundant. I'm actually going to be back probably about 7:45 to talk about day 3 of Forward Focus 21, our 21-day fast. We're in day 3. Y'all aren't going to want to miss that. I'm going to go live at 7:45. I'll see you guys then. Love you to life and life more abundant. Get free.